Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you guys how I pretty much make any pair of Disney ears that I want, and we are going to use these beautiful pair of Cinderella inspired ears as an example today. So let's go ahead and get crafting. First things first, I always like to go on Pinterest and save a bunch of pictures for inspiration for my ears. So today I'm doing the Cinderella ones, and I went through and just kind of found a couple of pictures that I liked, certain aspects of the ears, and kind of figured out what I wanted to be on my specific pair of ears. Once I've kind of figured out what ears I want to make, I'm going to go ahead and cut out the actual ears. I just got this foam board from the dollar store. You can get them really anywhere, but it's the cheapest to get it there. And then I'm going to cut out 4 circles. I typically like to use just a Bath & Body Works candle. I feel like it makes the best size ear, but that is totally up to your preference. After we finish drawing our circles, we're going to go ahead and get those cut out. I find it easiest to use an X-Acto knife. I feel like it's most precise and it's easier than using scissors, but whatever you think is easiest to cut it out is really completely up to you. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out those circles. Now we're going to form our ears to fit our headband. I got this headband in a pack from Walmart. I feel like they are the most comfy to wear to Disney, and they're pretty wide, so they support the ear very well. And then I am just going to measure kind of where I want the ear on my headband and create a semicircle so that when we cut it out, it fits firmly on top. Now we're going to get into more of the fun stuff. I have some really pretty pink silky fabric that I got from Walmart actually. I thought this fit Cinderella's pink dress so perfectly, but you can use really anything like foam glitter paper, you can use fabric. I just happened to use fabric for this one because I found the perfect one. So you're going to go ahead and trace out 4 more circles, kind of just trace out the 4 ears that you have. I used dots in this case just because I felt like it was easier to not show black through since it was pretty thin, and I'm just kind of tracing a bigger circle around the ear. Then I'm just going through and cutting out those circles. It does not have to be perfect by any means because it is going to be wrapped around the ears either way, so just cut it out however you need to. I'm using Cricut scissors because I feel like they're sharper and they just cut through the fabric pretty easy. Next, we're going to go ahead and put that fabric around our ears. So you're going to go ahead and take one of your 4 circles and put 2 dots of hot glue in the corners of the ears. This helps the hot glue not show through the fabric as much as if you would put it in the middle, and also help keeps the fabric pretty tight while you're putting the rest of the glue on. The best way I can explain this would be to put just a little bit of hot glue at a time, and then fold the fabric over that bit of hot glue until you get all of the fabric taut around the circle. Once you've got one ear done, you're going to repeat this process for the other 3, and then you are going to take 2 of those circles and glue them together, and that is going to make one of your ears. I like using 2 just because it does make a thicker ear and it allows to put ribbon on there, make them more sturdy. So you're going to go ahead and use a considerate amount of hot glue because you really want to make sure they stick, and then glue them together. At this point, you might have noticed that when you glue them together, there is this kind of ugly line that you get at the top, and what I do to fill that is I take ribbon, whatever matches or whatever you want to put with it. Sometimes I like to do sparkly to jazz it up a little bit, but I like this lighter color because I felt like it complemented the bows on her dress. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out the size I need for the ear and then glue it on to the ear. I just take a little, same thing, same way I do the fabric, I kind of just put a little bit of glue at a time and then fit the ribbon to the ear. This next part is probably the hardest task, and that is making the bow of the ears. So for this one, I am actually just taking ribbon. You can use fabric, you can buy a pre-made bow, but for this one I'm specifically using ribbon just because I felt like it was more organic for her dress. And what I'm just doing is taking a long piece of the ribbon. It doesn't really necessarily matter what size, it just depends on how big you want the bow. And then I'm wrapping it around itself so it kind of makes a loop. And you want to make sure that this loop is kind of doubled because we're eventually going to spread it out to make a bigger bow. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue the loop together. Now that we've got the loop glued, we're going to go ahead and cut out a smaller piece of that same ribbon. I went ahead and folded it into threes. That way it made it kind of thinner for the middle of the bow. I didn't want this big, huge, thick piece of ribbon on there. So I'm folding it and gluing it, and then we're going to wrap that around the loop. Before we glue the middle piece on, I went ahead and cinched the middle of the bow, and I'm going to go ahead and glue that. That way it kind of stays while I'm putting the middle of the bow on. Once that's dry, you can go ahead and put on that little piece of fabric and then glue it, and you have your bow. And as I said earlier, we were gonna pull out that extra loop. That way it makes the bow just a little bit bigger and gives it more texture. And now it is time to assemble these ears. So what you're gonna do is take your two ears that are all nicely fabriced and pick out where you want them to go on the headband. Some people like them further apart. Some people like them close together. It really just depends for me on what I'm putting on them, how big my bow is, and really what I'm making. These ones I kind of put just a little bit closer together because the bow is a little bit more small and I have a lot going on the ears. So I'm going to go ahead and heavily hot glue those ears onto the headband. We have reached the best part, which is decorating the ears. So I've kind of assembled everything that I bought for these ears. I've got my bow. I bought a couple of pieces of like little foam fabric that I didn't end up using for the specific ears. I found these beads that I thought were perfect for Cinderella's necklace. I went ahead and cut out these pretty little birds for the Cinderella ears, and I found these, I think they're sewing buttons, but I am using them to put on top of the ears. This is where your inspiration pictures definitely come into play. What I like to do is just place everything on there before I glue it. That way I don't make any mistakes and actually end up hating my ears. So I'm kind of just placing the birds on there, where I want the beads to go. I even ended up deciding that I wanted to take the little neat thread needle button and loop some ribbon in there, kind of like the mice were making her dress. And I put a couple different like scissors and buttons on there. And I really liked how these ended up turning out. And there you have it. These are my Cinderella inspired ears. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and make sure you subscribe for more crafting and Disney ears, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!